Welcome to Convene with the Strategy Team. My name is Christi Farmer, and today I am here talking to the co-host of Convene with the Strategy Team, Tameshia Weaver. Hey. Welcome to the hot seat.
I asked you before we got started, I said, is the seat going to be that hot? Because,
right. And my answer was like, no, it's not going to be a hot seat. We're just going to talk. But
even just the pre-conversation, I know it's going to get a little hot. Reese, you got the tissue?
Oh, you're not gonna cry on me, are you?
I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna give you all I got.
Listen, I understand that concept because I was in a 2-day. It was a boot camp for our company, the corporate entity that I'm a part of for my business. Had a 2-day boot camp, and I was in there talking about finances. So they were talking about finances, accounting, all that kind of stuff. I have an accountant. My finances are good. And I know the people in the room, that's not their story. And when I raised my hand to share, because he asked a question about Christmas time, which for our business is retail. So at a certain date in December up to a certain date in January, sales are going to drop because people have spent. Like Christmas time is settled.
After Christmas.
After Christmas. Yes. Like you're great, like September to December 15th is usually like mid-month December. Your sales are rolling in here, baby.
Right.
CEO put that on mute.
I know, that's what happens when you don't get your Starbucks in the morning.
Right. No, so he was saying, like, what do you do? Like, it's inevitable that time's going to come. So when you have great sales in March, like all that money isn't yours because you need to put away for the drop that's going to come in December and January. It really doesn't matter how great you are. Like in retail, there's just going to be times that are up and just going to be times. Yeah, it's seasonal stuff. And I was about to cry when I was sharing that. I know that pandemic was really good to us. And I know people were just living off of that money and not putting away for the inevitable drop that's going to happen. And it almost brought me tears because our household was okay because we honestly used that extra to pay off stuff so we'd be great instead of adding things on, which leads to this whole discussion about you and your journey as a business owner, because I know you've experienced the ups and the downs as a business owner. Before we talk about the up that you're experiencing now, because you are listen, I already knew you were going to say that. I already knew you were going to say that, but it's an up because you're in a position that your downs have taught you enough that has caused your business to go to a high that now you can help other entrepreneurs. So that puts you at an up above other business owners who haven't even reached their business making 6 figures or their business making 7 figures. And you have experienced that.
That sounds nice to hear. But the reality.
We're always hard on ourselves. We definitely are. Yeah. So before you became the Tameshia that can sit on a couch and talk about your 7-figure company, who were you?
I was trying to figure it out, right? So I'm the girl who, it's funny because some of the same trends are following, are carrying over to this season in my life. And I'm realizing, I'm like, you know what? I was doing these type of things for somebody else's company, but there's something I need to kind of look inside myself and adjust so that I can continue to grow like my own company, right? So I was the girl who, like right out of college, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I did know that from like high school throughout college, I had multiple restaurant jobs. I worked at pretty much every fast food chain known to man, and then a lot of the retail stores as well. So I knew I had like customer service experience. I knew I had, when I say work ethic, I mean I showed up and I showed out. But when I got there, now you couldn't count on me to be there on time. And you didn't need to tell me what to do because I already knew what to do. So, I was like I said, I was the person who was trying to figure it out, just throwing stuff at the wall. You know how when they say, like, just throw stuff at the wall and it'll stick? Well, I was throwing it. I've tried MLM companies. I had tried to not only, like, work at, like, retail jobs, but have side hustles and start businesses, marketing companies, and then accounting companies, tax companies, like, on the side, right? I was never comfortable with putting it all on the line and said, I'm going to live and I'm going to eat off of something that I started when I first got my start, right? I wasn't comfortable doing that. And so fast forward, I was working at a telemarketing company, one of those places that you go in, and at that time we were selling magazines.
Okay.
I don't even know how those companies existed as long as they did. Like, I left during lunch break one day. This was off of La Vista Road. I left during lunch break, and I never went back because
you were that employee.
Oh yeah, I was that one. You were gonna when they say you need to give a 2-week notice. I was one of them people like, well, in 2 weeks you'll notice I hadn't been there. So that was that. I'm not planning on coming back because this is not for me.
Okay,
it's not a bridge to burn because I'm not coming back. Like I'm not even going back over there. So I remember riding past the Holiday Inn on La Vista Road. I was going to like one of the restaurants in that area, and there was a now hiring sign, right? And so I was like, hotel, now hiring for the front desk. I could do that. I've done customer service stuff. I could do that. So fast forward, I went in, got an interview that same day. So I filled out the application. The general manager was like, I want to interview her now. So he interviews me. I start the next day. Okay, so I walked off of one job at lunch, had another job within the next few hours. That fast forward to about 14 years of just working in the hotel industry. So I started off at the front desk, moved to sales coordinator, which that was a position that I created at that hotel. It wasn't even a thing. They didn't even have a sales coordinator, but I was helping the director of sales do her admin stuff. Just me wanting to me being who I am, I'm inquisitive, so I want to get in and I want to see, okay, what are you doing back there? You showing up in these cute outfits, going back, having your coffee, laughing on the phone, talking to your clients. Like, what are you doing?
Okay.
So I thought that the best way for me to know what she was doing was to help her, right? So, and shout out to Kendall Forbes because she, again, definitely helped propel me in the industry.
I'm listening to the things that you have said so far, and I'm hearing confidence, right? Because I think of people, when you said, well, it was lunch break, and I was like, I ain't going back, right? There's a lot of people who have that feeling, who don't want to go back, but they don't have confidence that if they leave this job, what will they do to pay the bills?
Right, and
what would
I had no other alternative. I just know I couldn't go back to that.
Right. But that takes confidence in yourself and your ability to say, I got enough wherewithal that I'll figure out how to get. I just know I'm not going to be here. I just know I don't have to stay in a situation that I'm not happy in, that I have confidence that I will find something that will pay my bills. I will find something that will feed me. I will find something. And then you went out there and you did. Like the next door was open. And that's another confidence thing too. Because I'm picturing you riding down the street, seeing the sign and saying, you know what? I can do that. That's confidence. That is knowing who you are and saying, I can do it. And literally I've learned because for the life of me, I've worked with women. And when I look at different women who do something and are successful in it, the only difference between the ones who aren't is the belief that they can for the ones who are successful, and the belief that they can go in here and have the interview and get the job and see something wrong in the position, which is what you said. You saw something that could be fixed. And instead of sitting there complaining like, I don't know why we got to keep doing it this way, you brought it to the table and was like, I see this problem. Let me fix it. And not feeling like what they going to think about me. They might fire me because they think I know too much. Or I'm listening to this, and that's all what stands out to me.
I'm going to tell you two things that helped me get to that point, right? One, I had a mom who threw me into everything. So she threw me into golf lessons. She threw me into swim lessons at a toddler. She threw me, like I was always being thrown, you're going to go and do this poetry contest. I mean, all this stuff, like a lot of it wasn't me. It was her putting me in those particular opportunities, right? So that was one. And then the second thing was, like I said, it's something about having probably at that time in my life, I had maybe had like 10 to 15 jobs by that time. So it's something about interviewing over and over, selling yourself over and over, being the new girl over and over, that gives you confidence. It's the people who have lived in the same house, didn't get to do a lot growing up, only had one job. Like it's those type of things that won't give you the confidence to just get out there and just like, you know what, I know I have what it takes because I've done it several times.
So the experience over time is what gives you confidence. The going through the situations, having the ups and downs, dealing with the different personalities, dealing with the different, because sounds like you were in one industry for a while, but within that industry you were dealing with different kind of managers, different company policies, those kind of things.
And that's where I was going to lead to. So so after I created my own position as a sales coordinator, my general manager left, went to another hotel. He saw the leadership in me, so he said, I'm going to take and make you my sales director. And from there, this is all within the span of a year, literally a year.
Oh, wow.
I went from front desk to director of sales. So, and at a very young age. So from there, I mean, again, the hotel industry is one of those industries that if you start from the ground up and continue to go, sky is the limit. I mean, there's no educational requirements or anything like that. They just want somebody who they can train and that is customer service oriented and you have a great attitude. Anything else, they can train you to do, right? So got through that. And then still, though, along the way throughout my whole hotel career, there was still something in me like, you know what, this isn't it. This isn't enough.
That's what I was going to ask, because you're like, well, they can train. You can come in, don't have to have the college degree. They're going to train you from the ground up. The sky's the limit. I was like, well, then why didn't you stay to reach that limit?
I'm telling you, I was HR's worst nightmare. I was going to wear what I wanted to wear. And back then, maybe I was wearing the tightest and the shortest. I look at things and I'm like, where was I going?
Living your best life.
Right. I felt like I could roll from the job to the club. Like I was like, oh, okay. So I was HR's worst nightmare. And then just, I don't know if it's the Aquarius in me or what, I just hate you telling me what to do. You know, I'm going to be your best employee if I could just show up and show out, whether that's 3 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. Right. Just give me the freedom to do what it is that I need to do. So I was always trying to, start other businesses and just always trying to do something else, hoping that something would kick off and work out to where I could say, you know what, forget this job. I'm leaving it because I'm getting paid to do what I love to do. Right. But at that time, again, I still had no clue what I love to do. So fast forward, I ended up going home. My grandmother got sick, or she had a sciatic nerve issue. So she was moving around was an issue. So went back to Thomaston in 2018, and one of my childhood friends, Lancer, was there as well, helping his parents. It was like the universe is, I don't know, it's this life. I'm learning to just go with it because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring, right? So we get to Thomaston. We happen to be there at the same time, and I learned, that he was in marketing, he was in branding, he was in the entertainment industry, and then, of course, I still had marketing and sales operations experience from the hotel. We came together and said, you know what, why don't we start a marketing and design company? Started that company, was doing great, was building websites for people. We were trying to really give back to our community in Thomaston and, help the small business owners there. We rented a studio. We had people come in and we did mentoring sessions with them. And it was a really cool, wave, right? Mm-hmm. Then COVID. Well, no. That was COVID did happen shortly after, but it wasn't until one night we were working in the studio and we were hungry. And there was nothing, we didn't have time to stop and go and get something to eat. We were like, you know what? It would be really cool if we had a DoorDash or Uber Eats or something here. Why don't we have anybody to deliver? And then light bulb went off.
Ding, ding. There's a problem. We can fix it.
Wait a minute. You're really good with branding and coming up with new companies, branding them, making them look good. I'm great with going out and getting the relationships with restaurants or partnerships, building a team, managing a team, operations and stuff like that. We could do this. So we had this idea probably in May or June of 2019. September 13th, it was a Friday. I would never forget. Probably would never open up another business on Friday the 13th. I thought I was going to be defying odds. Yeah. I was like, we're going to do it on Friday the 13th because that's the day that, people say that all bad things happen. Don't open a company on Friday the 13th, okay? Just because we launched, and it wasn't called Car Hops back then. It was another brand back then. We launched on September 13th, and then the rest is pretty much leading up to now, right?
Okay.
I know we're going to get into some of that, but like I said, I mean, it took us, 3 to 4 months to launch that business, and we have never looked back, other than a few times I'm like, I probably should go back to the hotel industry.
Let's talk about that, because that sounds like challenges that you've experienced as a business owner. So what are some challenges or that you have experienced that has given you that thought, like maybe I should just go back to the, and how have you because you didn't go back, you haven't jumped back into it. So how have you and your business partner overcome those things?
Right. So so I just told you that we started the company and it wasn't named Car Hops, right?
Right.
So we had a third partner. Okay. We, at first, he was going to be a silent partner. He was just going to, invest a little money. And again, it didn't take a lot of money to start this company. So he was going to invest a little money. And then.
So what's a little bit? Let our speakers into our listeners.
Yep,
we're speaking.
$2,500 is what his part was going to be. And then Lance and I put money in it as well but we were the ones that could really get the company where it needs to be as far as the branding, the marketing, all that, right?
Right.
So probably about 3 to 4 months in, it's maybe out pushing December. One, he went from wanting to be a silent partner to saying, okay, he want to be all in and be an actual partner. But after we agreed to that, the portions of what he was supposed to do never got done.
Okay.
I mean, he was always on the road here. Oh, I have to be on the road. I'm on the road. I'm like, okay, on the road, we got stuff going on here.
Right.
So at that point, it was a, we need to cut the ties. And that's when Car Hops, the brand Car Hops, was born. So, I don't know if anybody has ever had to rebrand something that they already had like a head start. Like Thomaston loved the first, the first brand. They fell in love with that. So we had to rebrand. I was like, okay, you know what? It kind of really put a damper in my soul. So that's one moment I was like, is this, we were still new in it. So is this something we want to keep going, or should I go back and do what I was already doing before?
So what was the thing? 'Cause I know I tell people, like, go back to when you get discouraged, when you feel like throwing in a towel as an entrepreneur, when it gets too hard, because it's going to feel like it's getting too hard. I say go back to your why. Like, why did you start doing this anyway? What was the thing that made you say, you know what, we're going to keep pushing past this difficulty that we're having right now?
The fact that I had a partner. Answer, because if it was
so accountability
me,
help.
And if it was me, I would have said, you know what, forget it, I'm gonna go back to what I know. But because I had somebody that could help carry the weight, it was, that part became a little easier, right? And then there's been lots of times that I've always sat back and say, okay, you know what, is this journey worth it, right? Is it worth my stress? Because I know several people that are my age who have passed away due to chasing their dreams and like stressing themselves really heavy, right? And so I always think, do I want to carry this stress and risk my life? Or, am I going to figure this out and keep going? And
So have there been any things you put in place to help with that, to help get in? So you still don't have anything in place to help with your levels of stress. So how are you not becoming like the people?
I am. That weighs on me all the time.
Okay.
And that's something that I have to get it figured out. Yeah, that's something I'm working on, and it has to be figured out, because if not, I'm going to stress myself out. That's when people say you can stress yourself out, you literally can stress yourself out, right? And the bigger you get with the same how you operate or how I'm operating, I know it's like, okay, this is just going, like, I see how people can like get bald and get fat and just start just letting life take them over just because, of stress.
I appreciate your transparency, because in this day and age in social media world, we get the idea or the look, because we see the people who are business owners and entrepreneurs taking the trips, laying on the beach. I have this time freedom and the money's coming in and I'm able to drive this car and I'm able to do all these things. But people don't see or get a chance to hear the reality of the behind the scenes, that it is stressful, that we have to be cognizant and put things in place so that we don't end up being the person that, unfortunately jumps off the downtown Atlanta bridge, or, does something or don't wake up the next morning. Now, I will say, as somebody who does know you and has seen your journey, that you have put some things in place, and you may not be able to see these things, but that's a good thing about having people in your life who will help you see the things that you can't see, because it's so easy to only see what's not working and to only see what we're not doing and only see the things that we need to do instead of seeing that the things that we've already done. So I do know that you've recently moved, which is it's going to take the move is stressful, but because it's literally you're in the process of doing it like right now, like you just moved like yesterday. Yeah. But that movement was put in place to relieve some of the stresses you're having by the current location that you were in. You have opened up a new office location, which is a point to reduce some of the stresses.
One rent to 3. So I have the office that we pay rent for, an Airbnb that we pay rent for. That this is, what day is it? Whatever day it is, but whatever day it is, I haven't made a dime off of it yet.
But you have put things in place, because you have talked about that as soon as you put it on the market, somebody booked it.
Right, but that failed. I mean, it fell through. So he inquired about it, but because. And this is actually an interesting part of the story, because I was so gung ho. And this is something, anybody who's going.
See, getting hot, huh?
Go ahead. Anybody who is going into the Airbnb space, right? I'm gonna go ahead and just give you one cool like tip suggestion out the gate. I know you're going to be excited. This is your first one. I know you're going to be excited, and you want the day that you have it. Set for, that you're taking reservations, you want that somebody is going to book it. You hope that somebody's going to book it, and it's going to start making you money as soon as you start. Well, but don't be so gung ho and put it online until it's actually ready. So what we did was we put it online, and they want you to have 5 pictures of the house. Well, the only rooms that were ready when we put it online was the kitchen and the bathroom, right? Because that we didn't have to get extra furniture and stuff like that. Right. So I took the pictures of the kitchen, took the picture of the bathroom. I took some pictures of like the surrounding areas, but I didn't have the living room and the bedroom on there, right? I didn't read the fine print that you're supposed to have the living room and the bedroom. So it was on there. Guy wanted to book it for a week. The amount he was going to pay to book it for a week would have covered the whole month's rent, right? So I was so excited. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Well, he had inboxed me because he wanted to come by and see it. And we were messaging back. The day he was supposed to come by and see it, Airbnb took the listing down. Oh. Because, and they emailed and said, you didn't have enough pictures. You need to have a picture of your bedroom and your living room. So at that point, I had no way to get back in contact with the guy.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Right. Yeah, so I just want to put that out there, because, you need to learn through other people's mistakes.
Yep. This is an entrepreneur. This is a great example of the entrepreneurial journey, period. Like, this happens to entrepreneurs all the time, that we go to a training and they're like, you can make 6 figures setting up a babysitting service. And you're like, oh, I know people who need babysitting services. Right. You don't read the fine print. That means like you're going to have this done and have this done. You're just seeing the green dollar signs. Right. And then you jump into it. And then in hindsight, you're like, oh, I should have had that EIN first. Oh, I should have reached out and made sure that the area that I want to do it in was compliant, that the government wasn't going to shut me down because this area isn't zoned for this. Like all the things that they don't mention in that little 60-second Instagram post that you fell in love with the industry. So if you could, with all these lessons that you learned getting into being an entrepreneur, the lessons you're learning because it sounds like you're opening up different branches in your entrepreneur, like you've been successful, now you open up different branches is causing you to have to move. Moving is causing you to look at another entrepreneurial opportunity, and you've learned some things in that. Right. What would you tell the current entrepreneur right now who's listening to, who's looking to go to the next step? What would you like, maybe 2 or 3 things that you say, listen?
So
they're currently an entrepreneur, yes. And they are ready to go to the next level in their journey. What are some things you would say to them, like based on maybe what you're experiencing right now, like do these 3 things, it's going to save you some time?
Well, one, I would definitely ask, like, why are you trying to go to the next level, right? That's important. You competing with yourself? Is this something that you yourself want to do? Or are you looking to the left and to the right and up, and you are wanting to compete with them?
That's a good one.
Because it's leveling up is not just the word. It's just not something that just going to happen overnight. It is something that you are going to have to change. And we talked about this, I think, in like the episodes we were talking about mindset. You are going to have to change. Like, I know that for me to be at my next level, I can't be showing up to nothing late. I can't be not giving it my 120%. Like, that's not because I put down these level up goals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I have to change. So I would say first, look yourself in the mirror and like really go deep. You probably need to spend several weeks really contemplating on why it is that you want to continue to go up. Because I'm sure there's some points that there's sometimes that you could be perfectly fine where you are. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, why are you not comfortable there?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I just want to make sure, people just need to make sure that it's something that's in them. Because to be honest with me, my risk, what do they call it? Like risk adverse, or like when you're, my risk tolerant level, right? I'm a gambler. Okay. I'm a poker player. You take me to Vegas.
Balls deep is what they say.
If I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, maybe I'd be on the road, like Vegas. I'm a poker player. I love the sport of poker. Now I need to learn chess because poker, you gotta keep that face on, and you just you working your magic. Chess is a little more strategy, and that's what I do need to learn. But yeah, so I would do this over and over and over and over. Because I get this like high. So it's like going to the amusement park, right? Sometimes
thrill ride.
So some people are, some people love the thrill of the ride, right? And then some people like me just enjoy seeing people be scared out of their mind. And I enjoy holding the bags and taking the pictures. And when you come down, you telling me all about that. But I'm not that. I'm not that on the roller coaster. Okay. I'm that in real life. You know what I'm saying? And there's many people that I talk to, I scare them out of business because, people that I talk to on like a real raw basis, they're like, okay, you know what, let me just stay at this because, honey, sleeping on the floor in the office and, not knowing how things are going to turn out. Some people cannot take that risk.
Yeah. I think that's the why, the point number one you gave about the why, though, because when you think about why you're doing it, it will outweigh the temporary need to sleep on a cot in the office. It will outweigh, because you have to look at the long run. Like the why is a long game, the way I see it. Like, it's not the why now. I was literally talking to business partners yesterday, as I said, people have stepped out of the game because they want instant gratification, even though their why is based on a long game. Like, you want generational wealth. You don't build generational wealth by just doing it for 3 years. It doesn't work that way.
Do you want generational wealth? Because that's the thing to
the popular thing, right?
Because let me tell you, so the people in my office now, there is a company that's been around for 20 plus years. They were one of those companies. So, like when you go to the mall or different places and people have beautiful plants. Well, they don't, I just found out they don't own those plants. They rent the plants and then people come and like keep them up, right? So they never own the plants. They just rent them. I was like, oh, okay, you can rent plants. Okay, cool. So the people literally just went out of business, liquidated their whole business because they had nobody to leave it to. So when you say generational wealth, you don't know if those people that you're hoping to leave behind stuff, will even want to be affiliated with it. We even want to carry it on. So I don't know about generational wealth. For me, I just know that I know how I want to live and how I want to show other people how to live. And then through that is whatever. Because once I'm in the ground, then, All
right, so 2 more points that you tell. Because we got the why. You got to know your why. What would be the other 2 points you tell?
I would say make sure that you do your research and read the fine print.
From experience, you can tell them that.
And a lot of things, though. I'm one of those people. I probably need somebody on my team I'm going to say, I want to do this. And then they
do
read
the research
and make sure, they make sure it, all the I's and the T's and stuff are dotted and crossed. So that would be the second thing. And then the third thing would be surround yourself with people who get you and who understand who understand where you are in your mission, right? So I feel like you need to be around people who, and especially when it comes to friends, that understand that you're not going to be at everything, because trying to elevate and take it to a next level again requires you to be a different person, but it's also going to require more time and commitment when you're leveling up. Now, once you get to a certain, like airplanes, once they make it to a certain altitude, then they can coast. But when you're leveling up, that's the whole, you're moving up, you're moving. So you're always going to be, your time is going to be, a little bit mismanaged or not managed as well as it could be if you're just coasting.
Well, listen, I have enjoyed this. I'm going to go back and watch this and take some notes, because you've definitely said some things that I need to go back and review for myself. It's always a good time to review your why. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a point in the year and in the business that I need to review my why, so I can get back focused on what I need to get back to. I also need to review my circle and see if there's places that I'm falling short in that I need to put someone in place, or even let my current accountability partners know, like, you helped me accountable for this. I need this right now. That's a good review. So I'm definitely going, like I said, going to go back and watch this and take some notes for myself. Right. I want to tell those who are listening to this, the female entrepreneurs, please take the time to not only listen to what we say, but take action on what you've heard today and put it in place for your business. Because one of the greatest things you can do for yourself as a business owner is, when you're listening to others, is take their mistakes and learn from them, so you don't have to go through that same thing yourself. So as always, thank you for joining us in here for Convene with the strategy team. Drop the comments below of what you've learned, things you wish she would go in more depth about, because there's so much more that Tameshia has to share with us.
I can't wait till we really are able to form like our own inner circle, because
absolutely.
I have so much that I want to pour out and give. But just, the podcast, the times are a little short, and I guess that's too, where it's something that we can actually put more out, just even on social media, so that more going in depth and more things that we would have loved to have said or shared, just sharing stuff on a daily basis. So that's something I'm working on with inside myself, is to make sure that I can show up in all the ways, right? So so I enjoyed it. Make sure that we are following, ladies, that we are subscribing, that you're sharing. And again, thank you for the calls, the texts. I actually had somebody reach out last week, and they were like, I just got caught up on all your episodes, and what I'm going to tell you is, don't stop. And I was like, okay, because I need it in this moment.
I need that too.
I'm being fat. I literally still have her text. And so we're not going to stop. It is just the beginning, as in all things. And we really appreciate y'all. So
stay committed. Stay committed and stay resilient, because that's what we're going to do over here on Convene and Strategy Team. See you in the next episode.
Deuces.